Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopishana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yashoda Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Nandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra Mai, Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Jaya Subhadra Mai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. युगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, समेत गौर भक्तवृंद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate ruttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28. Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life. Text number 37. Shitošnavata Varshani Shutpipase Priya Priye Sukha Dukhe Iti Dvandvani Ajayat Samadarshana शीतोष्णवातवर्षाणि शुत्पिपासे प्रिया प्रिये सुखदुःखे इति द्वन्द्वानि अजयत् समदर्शना शीतोष्णवातवर्षाणि शुत्पिपासे प्रिया प्रिये सुखदुःखे इति द्वन्द्वानि अजयत् समदर्शना. सुखदुःखे इति द्वन्द्वानि जयत् समदर्शना. Any Matajis? Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Shita, cold, Ushna, heat, Vata, wind, Varshani, and rainy seasons, Shut, hunger, Pipase, and thirst, Priya, pleasant, Apriye, and unpleasant, Sukha, happiness, Dukkhe, and distress, Iti, thus, Dvandvani, dualities, Ajayat, he conquered, Samadarshana, equipoised. Translation. Through austerity, King Maladwaja, in body and mind, gradually became equal to the dualities of cold and heat, happiness and distress, wind and rain, hunger and thirst, the pleasant and the unpleasant. In this way, he conquered all relativities. Purport. Liberation means becoming free from the relativities of the world. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Unless one is self-realized, he has to undergo the dual struggle of the relative world. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to conquer all relativities through tolerance. Lord Krishna points out that it is relativities like winter and summer that give us trouble in the material world. In the winter, we do not like taking a bath, but in the summer, we wish to take a bath twice, thrice, or more a day. Thus, Krishna advises us not to be disturbed by such relativities and dualities when they come and go. The common man has to undergo such much austerity to become equipoised before dualities. One who becomes agitated by the relativities of life has accepted a relative position and must therefore undergo the austerities prescribed in the Shastras to transcend the material body and put an end to material existence. King Malayadwaja underwent severe austerities by leaving his home, going to Kulachala, taking his bath in the sacred rivers, and eating only vegetables like stems, roots, seeds, flowers, and leaves, avoiding any cooked food or grains. These are very, very austere practices. In this age, it is very difficult to leave home and go to the forest or the Himalayas to adopt the processes of austerity. Indeed, it is almost impossible. If one is even advised to give up meat eating, drinking, gambling, and illicit sex, one will fail to do so. What then would a person do if he went to Himalayas or Kulachala? Such acts of renunciation are not possible in this age. Therefore, Lord Krishna has advised us to accept the Bhakti Yoga process. Bhakti Yoga will automatically liberate a person from the dualities of life. In Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is the center and Krishna is always transcendental. Thus, in order to transcend dualities, one must always engage in the service of the Lord, as confirmed by Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam sayo avibicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. If one is factually engaged in the service of the Lord, Bhakti Yoga, he will automatically control his senses, his tongue, and so many other things. Once engaged in the Bhakti Yoga process with all sincerity, one will have no chance of falling down. Even if one falls down, there is no loss. One's devotional activities may be stunned or choked for the time being, but as soon as there is another chance, the practitioner begins from the point where he left off. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanas Aitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatale Satarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurasve Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Kam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Girimit Kripaha Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinathan Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of His Grace Anand Maipru and all the Simul Vaishnavas so that I can speak on this verse. So in this particular section, uh, Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life uh, because of his attachment, and here he gets married to this king Maladwaja, and in these verses it is being explained how he is performing a lot of austerities, and in the previous verses we studied, and how here he is you know able to tolerate all the dualities of this material world, not being affected. So as Prabhupada is mentioning, liberation means becoming free from the relativities of this world. So in this material world, a lot of dualities, as it's mentioned here: cold, heat, happiness, distress, wind, rain, hunger and thirst, pleasant and unpleasant circumstances. So generally we get affected by all this. Generally conditioned soul, what where he gets sense gratification, he is happy. Where he gets little misery, he is unhappy. So in these situations also, uh, whenever he gets some sense gratification, so he is happy. Otherwise, if something is painful, then he is not happy. So how a devotee of the Lord is able to transcend these dualities? Uh, so because he is taking shelter of the Lord. So the Lord himself is free from all these dualities. So that's why one who takes shelter of the Lord, he is also free from these dualities. So in the first canto, 11th chapter, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka, there it's mentioned how Lord Krishna is free from all this. In the 36th sloka, it's mentioned Uddhama Bhava Pishanama Lavalguhasa Vridavaloka Niheto Madanopiyasham Sammuhya Chapamajahat Pramadottamasta Yashendriyam Vimatitum Kuhakairna Sheku. So here it's mentioned, although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they cannot agitate the senses of the Lord. Hmm. So generally, we think that uh, ordinary people think that Lord Krishna married so many queens, 16,108, and also he danced with the gopis. So they think he is some lusty person running after women. But we see actually the Lord is unaffected by this, all this. Hmm. So we see when the Lord was in Vrindavan, hmm, the age of 11, he left Vrindavan. So we see that how in Vrindavan everyone loved Krishna. The mother, no, parents, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the Gopas, the Gopis, so much they loved Krishna. They could means they could not live without Krishna. But we see that Krishna left Vrindavan and he never came back. So he was reciprocating in separation. No, but uh, so from that also we can understand how the Lord is renounced, detached. Hmm? So here also it's mentioned. So he is just actually he's Atmaram. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything. But to fulfill the desires or to reciprocate with the devotees, that's why he married this. We know that how these were the sages when Lord appeared as Lord Ram. They all wanted to get married, and so Lord reciprocated with them. Hmm. So in the next verse it's mentioned that the common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although he is unattached. So actually, he is only the source of matter, right? He is one who created this material energy. So he is not affected by that material energy. He is in control of that material energy. So then it mentions etad ishanam ishasya prakristopi tadgunai na yujjate sadatmastair yata buddhis tadashrayah. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Okay. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. Hmm. He is transcendental, nirguna. So he is the master of the three modes, right? But once you take shelter of Lord, as Prabhupada mentions here, Mamsayo bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitetan brahma bhuya kalpate. So this is the secret of coming out from the dualities. If you are Krishna conscious, then you can come out of the dualities of this material world. Hmm? Because Krishna is transcendental to the three modes. He is not affected by the three modes. So by taking shelter of him, you can also come out. Okay. So when we forget Krishna and we are absorbed in sense gratification, then we get affected. But when you take shelter of Krishna, uh, and then you can be free from these three modes. Okay. So we see that Lord creates this material world. He expands his Paramatma in every living entity. He is sanctioning what they desire as per their karma. So in the sense, Lord is so much involved at every step, right? He's providing everything, and the living entities are no ignorant and completely devoid of Krishna consciousness. So how much the Lord is tolerating, right? How much the Lord is tolerating. It is mentioned that even for an atheist who speaks against God, God only has to give intelligence, memory, right? That knowledge, right? So much Lord is tolerating. Uh, and He's everywhere, still is not affected by that, right? But we see that generally we get affected by the three modes of material nature, right? When we go travel, we see that when the places are in various modes, immediately we get affected either by the places or by the people who are in those various modes. We generally get affected by them. Hmm. But the solution is if you take shelter of Lord, uh, then you can transcend. How? So you have to pray to Lord. Oh Lord, please protect me from this mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Uh, Let me remember you. So that is how you can transcend these modes. Okay. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks a lot actually in various places about the symptoms of a person who is no sthita pragna, self-realized. So this is so much important because uh, the material world is actually made in such a way that there are always these dualities. So Arjuna is asking in the second chapter, 54th shloka, the symptoms of a self-realized soul, sthita pragna. Then Krishna elaborately explains in the next no, 10 or so verses the symptoms of the self-realized soul. So these are so vital, and Prabhupada also gives very amazing purports. So here we can understand the symptoms and also how we can develop those symptoms. So Krishna is telling, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmani evatmana tushta stita pragnastadocchate. So Krishna is telling, when a man gives up all varieties of desires for sense gratification which arise from mental concoction. Okay. So to the degree actually you identify with this body and mind, to that degree you get desires for sense gratification. To that degree you get affected, right? So there is a story given of a king uh, passing by with his army, and then there was this person, what do you call, sharpening the arrows. So he was so much absorbed in that work, hmm, that he was completely unaffected, although a huge army went by, because he was completely absorbed in that work which he was doing. Same way we can see, like sometimes in running race, like people run at high speed, and they have a goal, 100 meters whatever. So sometimes while running fast they may be hit by some rock, stone, something in between, or some hurdle. But then because they are so much eager to achieve that goal and also yeah, they are very fast in that. So even though they are hit sometimes, or even blood may be coming, but still they are not affected, they just run. Later on, when they stop and they actually see that, oh, some blood is coming, then they realize that, oh, I had hit something, right? Because they are, the point is that they are fixed in achieving that goal, and also they are very eager to achieve that goal. Right? So in the similar way, a devotee of the Lord, when he is clear about his goal, what is his goal, right? The goal is not clear, goal घूमेंगे. Birth, old age, disease, death. Uh, so the goal should be clear, and also we should be eager to achieve that goal, in this, as this example. So uh, because being in this material world, these dualities will be there. Okay. Okay, we may have to do the needful sometimes, but at the same time we should not forget our ultimate goal, and we should be eager for it. So then we will not be affected. Okay. So yeah, so what is that goal? Achieving Krishna Prem. Huh? And for that we have to be absorbed in taking shelter of Lord, right? So actually, a pure devotee of the Lord, he is beyond this three modes, and he is not affected by the dualities. And by his association, actually, he can also uplift us uh, from this dualities. Okay. So I remember long back when I had gone to one yatra, Jagannath Puri, and I was quite sick. So we had gone to Gambira. So there His Holiness Radhanand Maharaj was doing Kirtan, Jai Jai Jagannath. So he sang for 1 hour actually, continuously, that same song. So I remember that initially I was feeling very sick and very dull and down. So when Maharaj started singing, and no, when I got completely absorbed, I completely forgot that I was sick. And then I was just singing and clapping hands. And then after Kirtan, everything was over. Then again, like, means it's like transcending the bodily consciousness. Then again, back to bodily consciousness, weakness, and mind is also sick. So then I realized that how actually a pure devotee of the Lord can help us to transcend uh, the bodily consciousness. Generally, we are absorbed in the bodily consciousness. Uh, so even while chanting, we can see, to the degree we are absorbed in chanting, taking shelter of the Lord, to that degree actually we can transcend the dualities. Uh, but generally, If you are not absorbed in taking shelter of Lord, even a small pain is there in the body, we get affected. The whole consciousness goes there only. What should I do for this? What should I do for that? Or so many other things which I am supposed to do in the daytime. All those thoughts. So, but if you are absorbed in taking shelter of the Lord, then actually we cannot, will not be affected by those various dualities. So here Krishna is telling actually all these desires only arise out of mental concoction, hmm, because of identifying with the body and mind. Okay, so if you can uh, give up that identification and absorb in taking shelter, then you can be free. Then Krishna is telling, Dukkeshu anudvigna mana sukeshu vigata spraha vitaraga bhaya krodha stitadir muniruchyate. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Okay, so generally, when there is some success, we get elated, we become proud, or when there is some failure, we get disheartened, we feel bad, we feel pain. Uh, So that is when you see all this in your own perspective. You are seeing success, failure for your own selfishness. Okay. You are only concerned about yourself. Actually, you are not thinking in terms of Krishna consciousness, means in relation with Krishna. Even a failure can be pleasing to Krishna. Like Jatayu, he died, right? While fighting for no protecting Sita, right? So although in material sense he failed, but actually he was successful because he pleased Lord. And we can see later how Lord himself performed the last rites, right? Whereas on the other hand, Ravana, he won materially, but spiritually he was not successful, right? So ultimately, success, the definition of success is what pleases Krishna. That is success, not the external terms. The external terms are also there. If, as per Guru's what you call instructions, we should endeavor. But ultimately, our endeavor to please them pleases them. Now, the results may or may not come. But we have to see that we have actually endeavored sufficiently. That endeavor itself is pleasing to them, right? So, yeah. So we should not become proud when there is success. We should learn to give all credit to Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnavas. We have to really contemplate that how their hand is involved in this. Generally, we think that my hand is involved, but actually, the unseen hand of all this, uh, it is actually because of their mercy that we have able to do something as a service. And when failure comes, generally we tend to blame others or Krishna. So instead, we should actually blame ourselves. Maybe I have not sufficiently put endeavor. Huh? Or a devotee sees it also as Krishna's mercy. When some painful situation comes, that I deserve much worse, but Krishna, you are so kind, you give me very little suffering. So in that way, when we see, then we will not get affected by this dualities of success, failure, all these things. So then we can remain peaceful. Okay. So then Krishna is telling next sloka, Yas sarvatra bhi snehas tattat prapya shubhashubham na vinandanti na dveshti tasya pragna pratishtita. The material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Okay. So generally, uh, if somebody no, does something bad against us. Okay, if somebody chastises us, so we feel bad. Okay, we may get affected, uh, or sometimes we may even develop revengeful attitude towards them. So attachment and aversion are said to be both sides of the same coin. Okay, so Prabhupada is telling that attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and when there is absence of that, there is detachment. So we become attached to praises and we become detached from chastisements. We don't want them because in the praises we get sense gratification, in chastisement we get pain. So that's why we don't want it, right? So, but actually, we see the devotees of the Lord, they see another way. Uh, Actually, they run away from the praises, and when chastisements come or criticisms, no, it comes, they accept it gratefully. So we see the example of Parashar Bhatt, the Ramanacharya's next descendant. So every day he would go to Lord, uh, and he would reveal his heart, mentioning that how he is very sinful. So one day, there was one person who was quite envious, and he was also there when he was taking darshan of the Lord. So when Parashar Bhatt starts telling that, no, oh Lord, no, I am very lusty, then he would say Satyam. Then he would say, I am very envious. He would say Satyam. So like that, envious person would, no, say that, yeah, what he's telling is actually correct. So then at the end, this Parsara Bhatt would actually, he actually tells the Lord that, see, oh Lord, every day I am telling how I am very fallen, but you are not, no, accepting it. But today I also have a proof. No. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur actually mentions that those who actually criticize us, they are our well-wishers. Because we become humble or humbled. Right? And those who praise us actually means if you don't receive it in proper way, then it is very dangerous. Our false pride may increase. So, uh, so if we offer the praise back to Guru Krishna Vaishnavas, we will not get affected. And if we take the criticism as a sign for improvement, or reaction for my past misdeeds, then we will not get affected. Actually, when somebody criticizes us, we have to evaluate whether it is really true. I might have done some mistake. If it is some mistake, we can accept it and try to improve. If it's not a mistake and still somebody criticizes, we have to understand that this is a reaction for my past misdeed. I must also have criticized someone unnecessarily. So I'm just getting a reaction. So a devotee accepts it, gratefully. So there are many verses explaining all this, how a devotee of the Lord can remain fixed in Krishna consciousness. So in this another very important thing Prabhupada is mentioning, that how this Malaya Dhwaja actually is performing intense austerities, okay, staying in that Kulachala. So Prabhupada is mentioning actually in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult for someone to go to forest or Himalayas and perform such intense austerities to actually come out of this dualities. Like the yogis, they dip in, what we call very cold water, or they sit under sun surrounded by fires. So that actually their mind becomes unaffected by all this, and gradually they become detached from the dualities. Okay, so that's why they practice this intense austerity, so that their mind becomes unaffected by all these dualities. But the devotees of the Lord, actually, in general, common people, it's very difficult, first of all, to go to forest or Himalayas and do this all kind of things. If you tell someone that this is how you can control your senses or overcome your dualities, nobody will come. Right? So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning the best process to overcome dualities is the process of bhakti yoga. Hmm? Because you take shelter of Lord, you can easily overcome the dualities. Even in this section of Bhagavad Gita which we are discussing, Prabhupada gives the examples of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvas Muni, and he also gives the example of Haridas Thakur, Lord Shiva. He also gives the example of Vishwamitra Muni. So we see actually the yogis, they try to control their mind and senses, but because they depend on themselves, they don't depend on Krishna. Okay, so then it becomes very difficult to purify themselves and control their mind senses when actually testing situations come. But the devotee of the Lord, he depends on Rishikesha, the controller of mind and senses. So Rishikesh means the Lord of mind and senses. He controls the mind and senses. Why? Because he has made those mind and senses. Who made mind and senses? Lord, right? So just like a person who made a machine, he can control them. He knows how to operate it, how to repair it. He knows everything. So instead of going to someone who doesn't know anything or try to repair it oneself, he has to go, a sane man will go to the person who actually made it. So same way Krishna is Hishikesh. He is the one who actually made them and he is the one who can actually control them. Right? So a devotee of the Lord simply takes shelter of Lord. O Lord Rishikesha, please control my mind and senses. I cannot control them on my own with my own strength. So please you control. So a devotee of the Lord simply depends on the Lord. Huh? So then he can control his mind and senses. But that doesn't mean that you do sense gratification and say, Lord, please protect. Because Lord also gives instructions, you know, what we should follow, what we should not, what we should do, what we should not do. Right? Like, through himself or his devotees, Atyahara, Prayasascha, all this. No. So there are instructions, what we should do, what we should not do. All these things are there. So we should also endeavor to follow that. But at the same time, we should understand that ultimately we need to take shelter of Lord to control this mind and senses, right? So then Lord will help. So we see in the case of Draupadi or Gajendra, when they were in greatest of troubles, they helplessly called out to Lord, right? Then Lord appeared and then he protected them. So in a similar way, uh, we may not be kept in so much tough situations, but we should understand that uh, our mind or Maya always tries to distract us. Okay, so the only solution is taking shelter of Lord. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we should pray to Lord that please protect me from Maya and please engage me in your service. So actually, when we chant Hare Krishna, also we should chant in a prayerful mood. Otherwise, if somebody mechanically chants like a tape recorder uh, without taking shelter of Lord, the mind roams all over the world. Hmm. So even in chanting, we get affected by the dualities. Then what to speak of other times of the day, right? So just like a tree which is very firmly rooted, right? So it will not get affected by the dualities like summer, winter, winds, so many things, right? So because it is firmly rooted. Same way, a devotee of the Lord, when he is firmly rooted in taking shelter of Lord, taking shelter of pure devotees, taking shelter of various process of bhakti, so then he will not get affected by all this. So when internally a devotee of the Lord is relishing Krishna consciousness. Uh, that's why Krishna also mentions Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So when you actually relish Krishna consciousness internally, in the sense getting higher taste in taking shelter of Lord, performing various process of bhakti, then externally so many difficulties or dualities may be there, but he will not get affected. So to the degree you are getting higher taste, to that degree you don't get affected by this lower taste or lower dualities, right? So the more we are getting affected by these dualities, that means actually that we are not actually deep rooted in our Krishna consciousness, and also we are not actually getting that higher taste. Okay, so because ultimately even these dualities are arranged by Krishna. So a devotee, whatever dualities are arranged, he accepts it gratefully. In the sense, ultimately everything is arrangement of the Lord. Suffering, happiness, whatever, winter, summer. So he sees Krishna. Actually, when we see anything separate from Krishna, that is duality. Prabhupada is saying in one of the lecture. When you see Krishna, there is no duality. Right? You understand? So, but when we don't see those things in relation with Krishna, we see them separate. Oh, so much heat. Oh, so much cold. Or oh, so much suffering. Then we get affected. Right? So, but in one lecture, I heard like when there is sunshine, oh, this is Krishna's mercy. Without sunshine, I cannot exist. Right? So, and actually it is Krishna's mercy. For us, it may not be. Since we may not be able to see like that, we may feel that heat and being, But in the sense, when you actually remember Krishna, although body may be sweating or whatever, uh, but if you remember Krishna, actually you are Krishna conscious and you are actually not affected by them. But when you forget to see them in relation with Krishna, when you become ungrateful for that, then actually you are ungrateful to Krishna. Krishna, why this summer? Why so much heat you are sending? I don't want this. But it's arranged by Krishna, right? Uh, so we have to accept it. So Krishna actually is indicating this material world is like that. So you are supposed to transcend this material world. You go out of this material world uh, and see them in relation with Krishna. Don't see them separate. Okay, that's why we get affected. So we'll end here. Any questions? Okay. So we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.